Hey designers, welcome back to my website redesign series. In the last video in the series, I walked you through my design process to create this design here for my new homepage for my personal website. And right here in this video, I'm going to show you how I built this out using Webflow. Let's start off by me just showing you the homepage, and then I'll dive into a few little pieces of it and show you how I built them, in case you're looking to do something similar yourself, or maybe you're just interested in seeing how I did it. So here we have my homepage. I've got my menu up the top, which you can expand to see the not many menu items, but like I talked about in the last video about the design process, I really want to encourage people to scroll down the page rather than dive into the about section or whatever. So keeping that closed lets people access it if they want, but doesn't super encourage it, if that makes sense. So down here we have my blog content. So this is coming in automatically from my blog. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's a slight little like mouse movement thing that makes those colored cards move, which I think is pretty fun. Then I have my latest YouTube videos. And again, this is pulling from the latest 2 videos uploaded to my channel. And this also has the fun mouse movement thing on the cards there. Then I have my latest 4 shots from Dribble. Again, this is automated. I'm going to show you how I got that to happen. This is instead of having a portfolio, because I don't have that done yet. So instead, for now, I'm just showcasing my work by showcasing my Dribble posts. Then there's these blocks here, which talk about my podcast, my speaking that I do at conferences and workshops, and then the book that I'm currently working on. And then there is my footer that is the same as the one on my blog. So let me show you how I built this out and point out some of the cool little features about it. Let's start off with the menu. So the way this expanding and collapsing thing works is not actually something that I had to create for this, because I'd already created it over on my blog. So all I really had to do was come over to the blog, copy this, and then paste it on my new homepage to get that action in. How I did this overlapping thing in the header section here is I have 2 rows of columns. So this first row has 2 columns in it. Column 1 has my menu and sidebar. Column 2 has this block here with the introduction text in it. And this introduction text has a negative margin at the bottom to help move it down, or actually to help move the content below it up. And that's how you get the overlapping. See here, it's got a negative margin of 154 pixels. And then below this column row is another row of columns that actually only have things in this first column. Here is the image. And this also has a negative margin on it to make it overlap with the purple header. So see, if I change this back for a second to 0, you'll see that the purple is right underneath. But yeah, when you put a negative margin on, that's what creates the overlapping. Whenever I'm setting about building a design, I always think about, well, try and think about it in terms of a system. So see here, I've got this block, and then there's this block, which is similar but slightly different because it's on the right instead of the left. And then this block is the same as the one above, essentially, because it's a gray block with stuff inside sitting on the left. And so you can see here, this is my like set of classes that I've used to create this, if you're interested. So there's one class that adds the border, there's one that makes it have round corners instead of the side, and then there's one that makes it sit on the left, and then obviously this one is the same but on the right instead. What I did was first create this whole section. So I built out this whole thing, like got the padding how I wanted it, etc. And then essentially copied and pasted it and made the little tweaks to get this one, and copied and pasted it to get this, and just swapped out the second column. Because unlike this block here, where this is one column and then this is a column on the second row, this is just one row of columns, if that makes sense. So we have column 1, column 2. So column 2 just has 2 things in it. Are you still with me? To make these cards, I again just copy and pasted from my blog, because I already have these set up here with the card behind. And if you're wondering, see how this color offset, actually let's go back to the homepage to show you what I'm talking about. See how they're both pointing to the right now, but on my actual homepage, one is on the right, one is on the left. That is done through a line of custom code. I think it's this block here. Yeah. So this wasn't something that I could do using the options in the Webflow editor panel on the side here. So I just added a line of custom code for it to target every even numbered box. So every second box, number 2, number 4, number 6, etc., is going to have it sitting to the left instead of the right because of this line of code. Where was I? All right, so yeah, I pretty much just copy and pasted from the blog, but what I did was change this to a heading 2 instead of a heading 1, which is on the blog, because I wanted this to be the main thing standing out on the page. I have a style guide page that I just have saved as a draft in my Webflow like set of pages, and this is where I set like all headings 1, all heading 2, etc. It's kind of like, yeah, well, it's the style guide for my website. One thing that I did as well is when setting up this homepage was I changed the font I was using for my paragraph. I'm using Lato now, whereas previously I was using Averter. I think in the design that you saw in the last video I was using Averter as well, which is you know, a custom font that I really like for my headings, but I decided it wasn't super readable for the body copy and wanted to change it. So I come in here and I come and change all paragraphs and make the edits that I want, and then it updates across the whole rest of the site. And whenever I change my headings, I do that too. So this is my like one place where I'm gonna update all the H4s, and I can get a visual and see what I have set up for each one too. So highly recommend doing that, setting up a style guide page if you're using Webflow. Let's get back to my homepage though. What else? Okay, so I already had my button set up as well. This is what I do to get a button. So if I just remove this pink class for a second, you'll see that every button has its hover state on it already, and it has the text styled how I want, and then I simply just add a class to get it to be the color that I want. So that's what I did going through. Like this one is button green instead of button pink, which makes sense because it's green and not pink. Okay, let's get into talking about how I did these video things. So, well, first of all, the styling of it, as you can see, there's a slight shadow here on the thumbnail and the green behind, and that follows the same as the blog. I basically copied the code that I had for here. So this adds, it's all to do with positioning to get this right. So this whole thing is in a div that's relative positioned, and then the pink card behind it is absolute positioned. So this sets it to always be 25 pixels further down and further right than the main card it is and the main div block that it's in. I don't know if that made much sense, but I did do a video about the build of my blog, so you can go and check that out too. So that's what I did, was just copy and duplicate the settings from that to make these cards sit offset as well. But let me show you how I got my YouTube videos to come in automatically, and I did that using a tool called Zapier to connect to YouTube and Webflow. So basically what this does is connect different APIs as far as like I can understand enough to explain it. So you can basically take all like many tools and connect them somehow. There's like these options available. So I have this Zap set up so that whenever a new video is posted to my Charlie Marie TV YouTube channel, this one you're watching right now, it will create a live item in a Webflow collection. So I have a CMS collection in Webflow for my YouTube videos, and within that I have a few fields. I have the name of the video, I have the slug, which is what you have to have, and then I have a video link. So what this Zap does is whenever a new video is posted, it sends the data over to Webflow and publishes it. So in here you can set it up in Zapier. So I've got, okay, the YouTube video link is going to go in this field, the name is going to go in this field. I left the slug empty so it can always just like set itself based on the title. And this is just what happens every time a video is posted, it sends all this data through. So that's pretty cool. Now I will say there is a small issue with this at the moment. It's not completely automatic. I know the Webflow team are working on it, so hopefully it will be soon. But basically if I come in here, you can see when the Zap sends it through, this little like thumbnail here doesn't show up. Like it doesn't recognize the link as a video link until you go in and resave it. So I have been having to do that right now, but I know in future when they get it sorted, it will be fully automated. And still, I don't have to bring in the name or whatever myself. It's just a matter of coming in and resaving the link. So that's pretty cool. Something similar is happening for my Dribbble posts. Let me show you the Zap that I have set up for that. And this one is working completely automated, which I was very excited about. So what this one does is very similar. Whenever I post something new to my Dribbble profile, it sends it to my CMS collection in Webflow. So I have another CMS collection for Dribbble shots. And with this one, I have the fields, the name, the image, which pulls in the image of the shot itself, the image link, which is the link to the file on Dribble's site, and then a link to the shot. So if people click on it, they can go and see how that's set up. And if you're not familiar with Webflow, if you've not seen videos about this before, what's cool about the CMS here is that you can set up whatever fields you want. Like you can have as many or as few as you want. So I can essentially set up these CMS collections to fit exactly what I need for the purposes of bringing this content over automatically, which is why there's different fields here in the Dribbble one to there is in the YouTube one, because you know, I need different things for these different purposes. So just like the YouTube, I connected Zapier to my Dribbble account, and it fetches whenever a new shot is posted and puts the data into these different fields like this and automatically publishes it. There is a few different events you can choose from for Webflow. So some of them are to do with e-commerce, I'm assuming, this ordering ones. You can update an item. So say if I had, I always just wanted to show my one latest video, I could get it to update my video CMS item every time a video was uploaded. Because I wanted multiple, I did this option, which is create a live item. And you can also create an item and have it not published, which is actually probably what I should change the YouTube one to, so that it doesn't like slightly break my site while I'm going over there to fix it up and publish it. But hey, I was really proud to get these things working, let me tell you, because yeah, it's just fun to know that this stuff comes through automatically and I'm not having to update my site with my work all the time. Just whenever I post something to Dribbble, it'll be appearing here too. So that's pretty cool. How this block is set up is, well, like I said, this is one column here and this is another column. See my column settings, I just have them even, 6 and 6. Oh, and to get this box sticking out the side, by the way, I don't think I talked about that. I have a negative margin on this too, which sends it further out, just like how we did at the top with it doing the overlapping. This is doing overlapping on the right. So negative margins are really fun to play around with. These Dribbble shots, this is 2 columns within a column, if that makes sense. So this column 1, and by the way, to get things from your CMS collection into your page, you come in here and you add a collection list, and then you basically connect it and say which data you want to fill it with. So that's what these are. This is a collection list of my blog posts showing the top 2. This is a collection list of my YouTube videos just showing the top 2, because you can set to how many you want to show. So this is a collection list of my Dribbble shots. I have it set to show 2, starting at 1. So it's 1 and 2 are here. And then over in this column is another collection list where I have it set to show 2 shots, but starting at number 3. So essentially this is going to show shot 1 and 2, and this is going to show 3 and 4. And I did it this way because I wanted to make sure they had this offset thing, and so they had to operate slightly differently. So on this collection list of my Dribbble posts, there is an extra margin that this column here doesn't have. What else? Okay, so this block here, this is again using columns. This is 3 different columns, so you can see here 4, 4, and 4, adding those up. That I just put a grey box around, and then can you see this block here has a border right class on it, so does this block here, and that's to get those dividing lines in the middle. And obviously this one doesn't have it because it already has the box going around the outside. I utilized flex box here to make sure that flex stretch, using this option here over on the align side, to make sure that, say, if this has, let me just like delete some content for a second. This had less content, but the block would still be the same height, so that this line would continue to come down. If I didn't have that flex stretch set to it, this line is going to end here where the content does, and obviously I don't want that to happen. But let me just put my content back in. And then here's my footer that I, just like with the navigation, I copy and pasted it from the blog because I already set it up there. It looks a little different from the live footer because this is a ConvertKit form that I've embedded via JavaScript. And so I've done that using the, where is it? Embed element here in the Webflow components panel. So this is my ConvertKit form script. So you don't see that until you're on the published page. I'm really looking forward to one day when you can nest symbols on Webflow. I don't think you can yet. I was Googling it the other day, but I have this, see how this goes green? That's because this is a symbol in my symbols panel. So I have my, icons and logo footer block, which you can't see my icons either because of the way I have my link settings done, but you can see them here. So this block here, that's all connected together, is a symbol. And I can't make the whole footer a symbol that I can just drag and drop in anywhere because you can't have a symbol inside a symbol at the moment. So copying and pasting is what I do for now, but symbols are great because if I make an edit to this, it'll update across all these 13 instances where that symbol is, kind of like, the component library in Figma, if you've been watching my videos about that. That would be really handy. Please, Webflow, make nested symbols soon. When I had all this laid out, when I was happy with how this was looking, oh, and by the way these columns are working, how this is sitting in the middle of these two posts, no matter how long or short this description of a post is, that's because I have this Flex Align Center class on it, which is again using Flexbox. Love me some Flexbox. So that's this display flex setting, and then I have it aligned to center. So see, if I had it aligned at the top here, everything would sit at the top, but because I have it sitting like this, it goes in the middle. Okay, what else? Well, the next thing that I did was go through the different breakpoints and look at what changes I might need to make. So because this homepage is part of my existing website, there's a lot of styles that I've used previously, like these cards and things like that. So stuff does happen automatically, but let's have a look at what it's doing. Tablet was pretty basic. I think I just had to make this image a lot smaller and change the padding here a little bit, negative margin, so that this would overlap at the right place and wouldn't, cut into any text or anything like that. On the phone, sideways, I decided that instead of having these side by side like this, I'd move the image to the middle. So how I made that happen is that I made my columns. In this panel, you can first of all choose like how many columns you want to have and how many of them, how many blocks they take up each, but you can also choose when they're going to break down, and instead of being side by side, go like one under the other. So I have it set to being on phone landscape, that they're going to do that rather than being side by side still, then my image would still be this big. So this means that every single column that you have will now fill out all the space, and that's why my image sort of sits in the middle here. And I'm pretty sure I put a max width on it for it to be 70% of the screen, so that it would never feel too big and I could keep up this overlapping look. So at this stage, I wanted to not have my blog content overlapping with this gray box anymore. They were going to be stacked. And so I took off the negative margin from this box, and so that it sits like just as a plain box itself. And I also added this heading here for this level downwards because they're slightly more disconnected now, this content, while on desktop they're obviously very much related because all this content sits as a block together. It's not as obvious on mobile, so I wanted to add this latest post heading. So this heading is actually there all the time, but it's just that on desktop it's set to display none, so it's set to be hidden. Whereas when it gets to this phone landscape viewport, it switches to display blocks so that you can actually see it appear. Then I have my two posts. I did the same thing for the videos, had my latest videos heading appear and disappear, and same for my shots. So I was able to keep these in the side-by-side layout because I thought they looked kind of cool at this screen size. And then these columns I set to stack. Where's my column block? Yeah, so these are stacking on phone landscape, but you can see that these columns here are set to still be side by side on the phone landscape screen size. And then on like vertical mobile portrait, I decided that I actually wanted to get rid of the boxes around this content because it was like squishing everything in a little bit too much. And so here I just removed those, and you see the content looking like this. Same with the top, that no longer has the dark box around it because it just decided it wasn't necessary here. And I also increased the width of this image too. For mobile, I can go up to 100% width in that column. On this size screen, it was a little bit too much to have my work in those two overlaying shots. So what I did was hide the second column on mobile, just like set that to display none. So on mobile, you only see my latest 2 pieces of work instead of the latest 4. And then this acts pretty much the same as the other one did. So if I show you on the live site, let me just inspect here and show you. So this is what my site is looking like on a phone. You open this menu and it moves all the content down. So that's pretty cool. And that's how it works on my blog as well. And yeah, I'm just really proud of this site. I think it's something I can be proud of now, whereas previously I was kind of like, don't go to my website, there's not really much on there. But yeah, now this is something that I'm super proud of, and I hope you enjoyed seeing how I built it using Webflow. If there's anything I didn't explain properly, or that you want to know more details of how to build, please let me know. I'll help as much as I can in the comments. But honestly, the Webflow support team are amazing and they always respond really quickly. So if you're trying to work something out and you can't quite get it, get in touch with them and I know they'll be able to help you. I'm most proud of the automated stuff, like having these shots come in automatically, having these videos come in, even though I have to republish, but like getting that data in automatically using Zapier. I was just really proud to have worked that out. Up next on my site, I think I'm going to work on my portfolio actually, finally, so that I'm not just linking to Dribble pages, but I'm actually linking to showing you work on my website. So I don't know when that'll be, but stay tuned because that'll be the next video in this series probably. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Let me know what you think of the site as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and to see if you enjoy using it and seeing my content there. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day and I will see you in the next video. Bye.